All right, so it says, what are the zeros and axis of symmetry for this graph? Well, I can find that two ways. One, we could graph it, but we're going to do the algebra first and then double check. So I'm going to focus on the zeros first, okay? So let's do the zeros. So to find the zeros, I'm going to set this thing equal to 0. X squared minus 14x minus 72. I need two numbers that when I multiply them, so wait, let's label this. So A equals 1, B equals negative 14, and then C equals negative 72. So if I use the AC method, my B term, well, I need to think of two numbers that when I add them up, they equal B, which is negative 14. Okay? And then when I multiply them, they equal A times C, which is 1, times negative 72, which is equal to negative 72. All right? So two numbers. Now what I know is there's 8 times 9, but those don't add up to 72. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my calculator, and I want you guys to turn on your calculators too. Hit second, quit. All right, hit clear to clear your screen. And we're going to say 72 divided by 9. We know that equals 8. So now I'm going to say 72 divided by 7. Well, that doesn't divide into it evenly. So then I'm going to say 72 divided by 6. Now, can I take 6 and we're going to add or subtract? Is there any way that I could add or subtract 6 and 12 and get 14? No. So we keep going. We're going to say 72 divided by 5. That won't work. 72 divided by 4. Okay, 4 and 18. Is there a way I can add or subtract those to get negative 14? Yeah. So let's think about that. If I say negative 18 plus 4, doesn't that equal negative 14? Now, I also know that negative 18 times 4 equals negative 72, right? So then I'm going to take this and separate it into negative 18x and positive 4x, and minus 72, and then x squared here. Now what that allows me to do, and we did this before, on this one I can only factor out an x, because that's it. And then in my parentheses, I'm going to put x minus 18. Remember, what I'm doing is they both have at least x to the first power. This one has a coefficient of 1, so I can't factor anything out of 1. So then I factor out the x, and then x times x equals x squared, and then x times negative 18 equals negative 18x. Now over here, only this term has an x. This one does not. So I can't factor out an x, but I know 4 goes into 72. So I'm going to say plus 4 times, what do I multiply 4 by to get x? Or to get 4x, I multiply by x. What do I multiply 4 by to get negative 72? I got to multiply it by 18. In other words, if I multiply this by this, I get this term. If I multiply this by this, I get this term. I have a common factor of x minus 18, so then this breaks down to x plus 4. If I factor out that x minus 18, I get this. So all that gets set equal to 0. So now to solve that, remember that 0 is equal to 0 times 0. So that means that x plus 4 has to equal 0, and that x minus 18 has to equal 0. So what do I do? On this equation, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, right? That's an equal sign. And I get x equals negative 4. On this one, I'm going to add 18 to both sides, and I get x equals positive 18. Okay? You guys with me so far? So what did we just do? We found the zeros. This is a 0, and this is a 0. But what is another term for 0? Huh? No, it's not vertex. So zeros are also called roots. They're also called the solutions, and they're also the X-intercepts. Why are the X-intercepts? Because that's when y equals 0. Okay? So my zeros are x equals 18 and x equals negative 4. Now the axis of symmetry is easy to find. Let me do a different, somehow we got off on a different color here. The axis of symmetry is easy to find. Why? Well, I can find the vertex. How do I find the vertex? Well, you don't know off the top of your head, but I can find the vertex by saying the x part of the vertex is equal to negative b all over 2 times a. So the x part of the vertex is equal to, this is the vertex. And by the way, that's also the way that you find the axis of symmetry, right? Because the axis of symmetry goes through the vertex. So x equals negative, what's b? Negative 14 divided by 2 times a, what's a? Just 1. So I've got 14 divided by 2, x equals 7. That's my axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry is x equals 7. Okay? That's all they asked for. Now, how do I verify this? Graph it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my calculator. Everybody grab their calculators. Hit y equals. Clear that out. And we're going to plug in the function. The function is x squared minus 14x, okay, minus 72. Does anybody have any questions? You got that plugged in? Does your screen look like mine? Okay. So now let's hit the graph button. Uh-oh. I can't see the whole thing. So what do? I'm going to hit zoom. And which one will I choose? Well, I could choose zoom out, but I'm going to choose zoom fit. Now, zoom fit hopefully will fit most of it in there. Nope. Well, how could I use the window? Here's what I know. I know that my zeros, my x-intercepts, are negative 4 and 18. So I'm going to change this to negative 5 because that's just a little bit further than negative 4 on the number line, right? Now, what do I make? Whoops. I hit the wrong button there. What do I make my x-axis? Or my x max? Well, I know my other 0 is 18, so don't I have to go past 18 on the number line? So I'm going to make that 20. Now, negative 72 is the C term, but that's also the y-intercept. So that means that it's going to go way past negative 72. So I'm going to change this to negative 150. Now, my y max, I'm not really worried about. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Remember how Mr. Adams says don't hit the minus sign, hit the negative sign? Look what I'm doing. I'm doing it. So negative 5. Why won't it let me? So negative 5. So I'm going to put negative 150. Now for the y max, I don't need that big of a number. I'm going to put 10. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting in all the dimensions so I could get my graph. I see some of you guys actually entering in these values on your calculator. That's good. You're going to do great on the SAT. I see some of you kind of struggling, wrestling with it. That's fine. I see 1 or 2 kids just not even bothering with their calculator. You shouldn't do that. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to verify this. So see this button right here, the 4th button that says trace? Hit trace. Now, I want to verify the minimum in a second, but first let's verify and make sure that our X-intercepts are correct. So our zeros are our X-intercepts. So the first one is negative 4. So if I hit negative 4, notice that it pulls up this menu that says X equals negative 4. If I hit enter, it takes me to the point on the graph where X equals negative 4, Y equals 0. Do you see that? What was my other 0? X equals 18. So if you just hit 18, it automatically, when it's in trace mode, you can plug in any value for X. Okay? So if I just hit 18 and I hit enter again, yep, that's definitely the other 0. Now our line of symmetry is at y equals, or not y equals, x equals 7. So if I hit 7, this should be right at the vertex. Now how could I verify that's the vertex? Well, it is. So anyways, I didn't realize it, but it's almost time to go. That's it. That's all I wanted to show you. Have a good day.